So when we signed on to be a Christian, when we decided we wanted to belong to the family of God, we automatically said that we want to be an ambassador for Jesus Christ. We want to be a witness. We want to let others know this good news that we have found in Christ. And this morning we're going to do services a little bit different because we have individuals who have been on some recent mission trips, and they are going to share some of their experiences. And I hope that you will be encouraged in that, knowing that our mission field is wherever God puts us. And I don't know, currently New Hope Christian Church designates 14.5%, is that right? Of everything that is given to the general fund, we designate that to missions. And we have a missions ministry team that decides where that goes. Scott Johannes is the leader of that team, and he's going to conduct some interviews this morning. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Scott.
Okay, thank you. And I'm going to do my best to kind of keep what I say pretty short because of the amount of things that we've got to get through, and really the stories that you're going to hear, I think, is going to be the highlight. But I do want to say this. As Carrie was saying, 14.5% of everything that comes in goes to missions. And we don't take that responsibility very lightly. We do our best to get that out there and get it working. We want to share it and share the love. And that's one of the things that we truly enjoy about as a team as we get together, of just seeing how and praying about and sharing that the dollars that you guys have donated out to make sure that that's doing what you guys entrusted us to do, if that makes sense. So, but I want to share a couple things real quick before we get into this, is this. I believe I went on my first mission trip when I was in high school, about 15, 16 years old. I had no idea what that was going to do to my life. I went because my sister went, my youth group had was going, and that trip was to Mexico City. Phenomenal experience. We ended up going up into the mountains, helping out, partnering with a congregation up there. Spent a week, to 10 days in the mountains of Mexico. I had no idea it got cold in Mexico in the summertime. Here I was, thinking Mexico, okay, most of it, I just, just thinking it was, whatever it was, and had no sweatshirt, no jacket, not really. I think I had a sheet to sleep on. I froze like every night. It was unbelievable, but had a great experience. Had no idea, 50 years later almost, that I'd still be doing on short-term trips. But I say that because you're going to see some young people share their stories. It's not just for young people. I've been sharing this. Last weekend I was with my family. We got together, celebrated my dad's birthday. And it was a number of years ago. It's probably about 20 years ago to 23 years ago, somewhere around there. I called my dad up. I was going to go back to Mexico, and I was going to build a house. And I asked him, hey, I'm going to build this house, and I'd like you to be a part of it. I want you to go with me. You've taught me pretty much everything I know about building, how to use a hammer, measure twice, cut once. I'm a slow learner, so I'd measure 4 or 5 times, cut 6 or 7, that kind of thing. And I said, I'd really like you to go. And he had a great time. It was fun to hear him talk about those stories. And then a few years later, he had known I was going to plan on going to Haiti, and he always told me, if you ever go to Haiti, let me know. So I call him up and say, Dad, I'm getting ready to go to Haiti. And I'd called for 2 reasons. At that time, I was planning on taking Jenny with me. I really wanted her to go and experience it as well. And I was going to ask my mom to watch our kids. And so that was kind of the plan. And my mom was listening to the phone on the other line, back when had phones in your house and, a couple people on the line at a time. And so I was talking to Dad about this trip, and my mom's listening in, and she goes, well, what about me? Can I go? I was kind of like, well, I had something else planned for you, It was kind of like, you're supposed to be grandma, and just really love that time. But she went as well. Left Jenny at home. She got to continue to be mom, and she has a great job doing that. But I took them on that journey that impacted their life, and the memories and the times that they talk about are just priceless. It's one of those for me is, I never thought about, what it would do for them and how that impacted their life. I knew it would, but at the same time, I say that because, my mom's reached the age where I don't think she really cares about her age anymore. She was about 62, 63 years old when she went on her first mission trip. And now due to their health and so forth, they talk about it every once in a while. My dad and his situation is such that he talks about he'd like to go, but it's like, no, you can't go, Dad. You need to stay home. And it's, because of his health. But that kind of shares that I didn't grow up in a home that we all went on mission trips as a family and we did. No, it was my sister first, then me, and kind of who knows what ended up happening to me. God got a hold of me and changed my life through those trips. You're not too old, you're not too young to go on a trip. Our first interview we're going to watch is with Grant Curtis. Most of us, or there's several of us that have watched Grant kind of grow up in this church. He's been a part of this congregation. He is an excitable young man, and this is the third or fourth time I've watched this tape of his interview. I don't think it really does justice captures how excited he was about this trip. But I'll let you watch and judge for yourself.
Hello, I'm Scott Johannes. I get the opportunity to oversee the missions team here at New Hope Christian Church. We're sitting here today with Grant Curtis, soon to be freshman in college. So exciting.
Yeah, really.
Anyway, Grant, we want to jump right in with things. You've had an exciting summer. Tell us what you did.
Well, I went to Diamond Willow Ministries to help out with a camp there. We helped with kindergarten through second grade girls.
So what was the age again on the girls?
Kindergarten through second grade.
Okay. And Diamond Willow Ministries is where?
It's South Dakota. So
South Dakota, okay. And they work with Diamond Willow Ministries. Tell us a little bit about it.
It's a church on the Lakota Indian reservation there. And basically they just run camps throughout the summer for the kids there. And they help out the community and bring hope in that area where a lot of people are in poverty.
Okay. And I don't know people that are very familiar with reservation life, but it is, as you were saying, it is very poverty-stricken. So hope and looking for the future is important in where we can, and I'm familiar with this ministry a little bit, that they are sharing Jesus with people, and that's true hope for any one of us.
Yeah.
No matter what our circumstance, that He provides more hope. Anyway, so this was your first mission trip, I take it?
Yes.
All right. I want to ask, why did you want to do that? Why did you want to go on a mission trip?
In all honesty, the only reason why I went is because Rob Perry, the children's minister, the old children's minister here, he said, "Hey, you should come with us." I was like, I get to spend a week with Rob. Yeah.
All right. So sometimes it's that simple of somebody inviting somebody on a mission trip and they don't really know why. But I know from looking at your posts, and I've told people this that know you, your smile at the end of that trip was bigger than it is right now. You have chills. I mean, you had a great time.
Yeah.
Did you ever think you could have that much fun on a mission trip?
Honestly, no. Honestly, going in, I was like, okay, this is going to be a lot of just hard labor, just working, hard work, manly stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But no, actually, we got to play with the girls a lot there. We got to hang out with the other people who were helping a lot. And in all honesty, when the point of the week that I made it a point was to keep my eyes focused on God. And like I said, I thought that was going to be hard work. So I was like, okay, eyes focused on God, no complaining. And it was a blast.
You talked about focusing on God and sharing. And what did He teach you that week?
A lot of the things. He taught me a lot that week. A lot.
Just a couple things and maybe a couple highlights.
Basically what he taught me was, see, Grant, this is the life that I want for you when you keep your eyes focused on me. That was probably the biggest thing that he taught me. Because, there were times where the flies were horrible there. They were biting you and stuff like that. Sometimes it really was hard work and it was frustrating, but when you keep your eyes focused on God, it really changes your perspective on things. And honestly, it gave us more joy than we probably gave the kids. So.
Okay. I want to ask 2 questions kind of in wrapping things up is this. Would you go on another mission trip?
100%.
Would you recommend somebody else to go on a trip like this or another one?
Oh, definitely.
Well, there you go. A couple opportunities coming up in the near future is a trip to the Dominican Republic and then to Taiwan. Ask us about them, and we'd love to take you with us. Thank you.
Something they say when you ask somebody a question in public, maybe you should not ask a question unless you really want to know the answer or you know the answer. When I asked him if he would go on another trip, I didn't know what he would say. So it's kind of, as I was watching it again, it's like, wow, that was a great answer. Wasn't even the one I was really looking for. I just was wanting to hear what he'd say. I want to list a few of the missions that we do support. We support, we were talking about how much goes around. We have some phenomenal partners around the globe. And I've listed them so I wouldn't forget them because they're all important to us. Alberto Rivas in the Dominican Republic, Donna and Carol Graham in Jamaica, GVCM in Haiti. They partner with, they have an orphanage there that is home to 130 children right now. In addition to that, they minister to about 50 different congregations. Of those 50 congregations, probably about 35 to 40 of them have schools. And then IDES, International Disaster Emergency Services. What that is what they do is they partner with people around the globe when there's a disaster of any kind. For instance, and that could be far away or is right here in Marshtown. After the tornado, they called us and said, how can we help? What do you guys need? How much time do you need to assess? Let us know what you need to do. That's kind of a great thing. And then locally, we support In Him. It's a ministry to Hispanic people, not only in Marshalltown, but throughout the state and throughout Nebraska. And we're blessed to have Mario Lara here today. He told me that his wife is cooking back in one of our kitchens. We'd love to invite you to come around and stick around and hear more specifically what's going on with his ministry. I believe it's going to be some enchiladas and a couple of sides. So if you don't have lunch plans, come see us. We got you covered. The Marshtown Christian School and also the House of Compassion. We got March here, the new director for the House of Compassion. I'm going to ask you if you come on up, March. And we're going to hear some stories or some things of what's going on there. Good morning again.
Good morning again.
I met March, I think about 10 days ago, in the light of what was going on. I was on my job, kind of doing my thing, driving around, and it dawned on me as I was driving by the House of Compassion that we had the director scheduled to be here for this weekend. And it dawned on me that one that we had contacted had resigned and a new one had taken place. So I had to stop in and say, I hope this is on your calendar. In which it wasn't, but she was gracious enough to kind of to put us on there and be here today. I thank you so very much for that. You started January 1st. No, I did it again. I've only done that 3 services now. July 1st was day 1 for her. Tell us about kind of getting used to life at House of Compassion the first couple of weeks.
It was introduced to me as a faith-based organization that provided service to people that were homeless, low income, and people needed help to make it to the next day, and also just to have somebody to talk to. And basically, that's what we started doing. We run the supply closet, which provides supplies that, say, if someone's on food stamps, they can't get. And we also process food vouchers for the food box, and we help with prescriptions, dental services, and utilities. And we provide meals Sunday through Friday.
You know, my mind still continues to swim in everything that the House Compassion does. And I think about this. You guys, there's a chance that you've had a new job at some point, and you've had to get used to that, an adjustment. Now think about this, July 1, day one of a new job, 3 weeks into your new job, and you just heard everything that you're now doing. July 19th happens, starts off the normal day, 4:30 in the afternoon, what happens?
We're getting ready to set up and start the Thursday evening meal, and the sirens go off. And we open the door for anybody that's outside to come in and take shelter. And when we got hit, we weren't the main hit, but we got the edge of the tornado. And as you've been by the House of Cash, and you've seen that the bell tower and the roof, which is brand new, was damaged badly. But we sheltered people during the tornado, and since we already had fixed food, we were out of power and everything, but we sent people home with food. And we didn't want to stay in there very much longer because we really didn't know how structurally safe the building was. Came back Friday to do an evaluation, and a friend I have who's an engineer went through with me, and he said, okay, it's safe to be in here. So we kept going, and that day where we're supposed to provide dinner for individuals, they packed bag lunches, and they basically had a picnic in the parking lot.
Now, that was a day after. What continued to happen in the few days after that?
Well, Saturday, dinner was always served someplace else, but Sunday meals were served, and Monday we were back to work as usual. We didn't have an option to close our doors.
So on July 19th, as the tornado went through, it impacted everybody. If you can imagine, kind of your office is to give assistance to people, and now you have no power, your building has been hit, and your job is to serve the community. And that's phenomenal that I think about that. You guys did not miss a day of service.
But we have to thank the volunteers that come in, since when we lost power, when we lose, MediaCom is our phone and our internet. So we had no phones, no internet, and Marina, the executive assistant, and I basically used our cell phones to call all the volunteers and say, our doors are open, come. And they were awesome. Electricity was back on Sunday, and they came in with our electric roasters, and it's been nonstop with services being provided.
Okay, we talked about a little bit about those, the services that you guys provide. Tell us a little bit about the monthly impact or the amount of people that go through your facility.
For the June month and the months I reviewed, we serve about 12 to 1,300 individuals, which is about 600 families. We provide meals for 55 to 60 people a night, and we provide prescriptions and other assistance for another 80, 90 people a month.
And then I think you were telling me as well, you get about 25 to 30 new clients.
Yes, we do.
Right.
We do get new clients, and it's sort of seasonal. We get a lot of new ones when they come in for the seasonal work during the summer, and families change, and it's about 25, 30 families new each month.
So that, to me, hearing those numbers, and I know that our community is like, resembles a lot of communities. There's people that are in need. And that you can go through something like that tornado and the aftermath and continue to just meet the needs of the community. We thank you so very much for that. And we've been talking on and off. The daily need for volunteers is kind of during the day is not so much. It's, if you want to get involved in meals, there's always opportunities for that throughout the month. I know here at New Hope, we also help stock the pantry several times throughout the year. That gives you an idea of, hey, how important it is to pick up those bags or to drop off something there. We talked about the pack the backpacks last service. Tell us about that, how that's expanded.
The Stuff the Bus, basically this year, it has expanded extensively. We've had donations from Nebraska, Omaha, Davenport, Ames, Ankeny, all over. And we opened it up to tornado victims as well because they lost their homes, they lost their jobs. And so unfortunately it had to be canceled, but it is postponed and will be rescheduled, but it'll still be opened up to our clients and the tornado victims so that they can have supplies for their kids to go to school.
All right. So, school's in a couple weeks. There's always opportunities for you guys to drop things off there at the House of Compassion. I encourage you guys to do that, not just to bring it to the church, but to, when you have those donations, go ahead and take them down there. They're open during the day. You guys can see it, give a quick tour, or look around, and just say hello, So I thank you, March, for coming, and I want to pray for you and the rest of your volunteers and your staff there, because I know it's a small staff and there's a lot of expectation. Oh, I almost forgot. I want you to share the news of what you're working on from the board.
One of the main projects I received when I started was to reopen the shelter. The goal is to reopen it as an amend shelter, but it's going to be more than a shelter just for somebody to have a place to lay their head. I've talked with the state social workers, I've talked with Center Associates. We work closely with Salvation Army, Micah, Access, and General Assistance. And the goal is to provide services for individuals to help them get back on their feet, give them the counseling that they need, and help them get jobs and get their own homes.
All righty. And one of the key things that you were talking about there is just a hand up, not a handout. And that's what the House Compassion is about just helping people, meeting them where they are, and helping them on to reach their goals and achieve what they want to do. I thank you for that. Again, I do want to pray for you before you go back to your seat. So, God, I thank you so very much. I thank you for March and her ministry and her willingness to serve in the capacity she is at the House Compassion. I thank you for the staff that you surround her with and all the volunteers that volunteer their time and resources. And I just pray that you'll continue to multiply them, and as they look to bring a men's shelter to that facility, that you'd bring the right people at the right time, and then that would be a help to those that are in need and a safe place, and that they would continue to be able to meet those needs. Father, we thank you so very much for that. In your Son's name, we pray. Amen. Thank you very much. Leave it down there. Our next interview is with somebody that has been up here in several capacities. She's a young lady that's just been exciting to watch her journey. And I really don't want to take too much time just to introduce her. I'll do that on the video. So without any further ado.
Well, hello. I'm Scott Johannes, and I'm the Director of Missions. I oversee the missions team here at New Hope Christian Church, and we thank you for joining us. Here with Jesse Peterson, and this is not a new venue for us.
No.
Jesse is going to be a senior at Ozark Christian College. We were talking earlier off camera. She's got 3 semesters left. I'm going to try to limit her talking because once she starts, we may be here for a long time. No, she's got lots of great things to share. I'll try not to say too much. She had an interesting opportunity this last year that I really want to hear more about. I want to share that with you guys as well. Jesse, where were you this year?
I was in Kyoto, Japan.
That seems easy to say, Kyoto.
Yes.
Close? All right. What were you doing in Kyoto, Japan?
I was working with a church planting organization called Mustard Seed Network.
Okay. So church planting, so they're planting a church there?
Yes.
Okay. How receptive is that community to the gospel right now? What would you say?
I would say that for a long time, people in Japan were not as a whole, not receptive to the gospel. And it's been incredible because even talking with the missionaries there, hearing how God is doing something new and there's a new receptivity to it and people are open and people are searching. And even when they were planting the church in Kyoto, they have some other church plants in other cities. They had some Japanese people say like, oh, like people aren't going to listen, like that's the center of Buddhism in Japan, like don't even bother going to Kyoto. They're like, God has called us to Kyoto, and those people came around and said, hey, actually, you're right. People in Kyoto need Jesus. We're going to help you. It's been incredible to see.
Awesome. Okay, well, let's back up.
Yes.
So you ended up over there in January
Yes.
of 2018.
Yes.
First impression.
First
Kinda walking off
impression.
the plane, heading into Japan. Did you land in Kyoto?
We landed in Osaka, which is a kind of nearby city, so it took us about 2 hours to get from.
Bus, train, car?
They came and picked us up in their van.
Okay, so then you had a 2-hour van ride.
Yep.
What were you seeing? What were some kind of your first thoughts?
Lots and lots and lots of cars and lots of people and tall buildings. So very busy, subways, trains, buses,
Okay.
a little bit of everything.
Population of Kyoto.
1.5 million people.
Okay, so just a little bit bigger than Des Moines by like 100%, 100 times.
Yes, yes.
So lots of skyscrapers. Now, what else? Well, tell us a little bit about their culture.
So something like Japanese culture is very different than American culture, but Kyoto is even like more different, I think, because it's this weird combination of it's very traditional, but it's also pretty modern. They have a lot of like the historical sites of Japan are in Kyoto, so they kind of try to preserve that. They're very proud of their culture. But they also have all the modern technology and are very have this great transportation system and very polite, very just kind of fitting in with everybody around you. So it's very interesting, very different.
Okay. You were talking about the transportation system. You've mentioned subway. Is that primarily public transportation? Is that, or is it bus transportation or both?
A lot of, public transportation most of the time. In Kyoto, people use buses a lot, also subways, also bikes.
Okay, and then you were part of this this launch of a new congregation.
Yeah.
What did you do to prepare for that?
Like getting ready to go to...
Yeah, just kind of, because you launched it while you were over there, right?
Yes.
It started.
Yeah.
So there was probably some prep. You know, what did you do to get ready or get the community ready for that launch? I guess I'll say.
So for me, there was like the whole fundraising, getting ready, learning a little bit of Japanese if I could before I went, which was hard, and I didn't learn a lot. But getting that for the people in Japan, their preparation was a lot of kind of working with people in their already planted churches, communicating with people that lived in Kyoto, having a few believers that have said, yes, we're going to help you start this. We'll be there. We're ready to help get this started. Lots of prayer from a lot of people, both in Japan and in the States.
Okay. Then was it a lot of meeting people where they were? Hey, come to church.
Yeah.
Or
so we. As we were kind of getting it started, so the church was about 3 weeks old when I got there.
Oh, okay.
So they had already a core group of people that were like, hey, we're going to be there and we're excited to help get this church started. But then part of our job as interns was going and meeting people, as well as being there with encouraging the people in the church already to be like, hey, Jesus wants to reach the people of Japan, let's be a part of that. And it was cool watching them get excited and start inviting their friends to come and being really intentional in reaching out to their community as well.
Okay. What's happening with the ministry? You've been back in the States
Yes.
since early May-ish. What's going on with the ministry since you left, or kind of as you wrapped up and left? What's happening over there?
So they have continued to grow. So our max capacity was about 65 people when I was there. We've outgrown our venue, so they're looking for a new place to meet. So that's something you could be praying for, is that God would provide. And then also people getting baptized, and people, they hired on a Japanese lady to help out with things at the church. And
great.
It's been really awesome, like just to watch even from afar and hear about what God is doing.
That sounds like an exciting work. What's next for you? Finish school?
Finish school. We'll see kind of beyond that. My last semester at Ozark, I'll probably be talking with Mustard Seed to see, like, maybe, if I feel like God is calling me that direction, then we'll see. I could end up back there. I'm not sure where God's going to lead yet, but I'm excited to, even if I don't end up going back, to continue to be a prayer partner and watching how God is working and communicating with the people there.
Well, it has been exciting to watch your journey and the different missionary journeys that you've traveled on. I've been able to go with you one-on-one.
Yes.
I'll put a little plug in. I am going to Taiwan again next summer if you want to join me again.
Okay.
We'd love to have you. Anyway, or if anybody else wants to join us, that'd be great as well. Anyway, thank you very much
Thank you so
for coming
much.
in and doing this. Good luck with your semester.
Thank
We'll be
you.
praying for you. Excited to hear what happens.
Thank you.
We did our local ministries, we've done our global, and then our national ministries. We support Nebraska Christian College, Central Christian College of the Bible, Stephen Peterson with Pioneer Bible Translators, Shiloh Christian Children's Home in Missouri. And then that's what we do. We just partner with and see how they are working within their community, how we can partner up and what we can do. Our last interview is going to be with Mike Cruz. He just recently went to Taiwan. He's gone a few times. You want to come on up, Mike? And with this, he's going to share just a little bit about this, and he's got a kind of an interesting story I like him to share with us. And for whatever reason, several years ago, he went with me to Haiti. So, there's a standard there. You end up going to Haiti with me, look out. But no, and he just keeps going. And a lot of times we end up being roommates for whatever reason. I think they think that we're the only two that can tolerate each other. But anyhow, you got back from Taiwan. Your jet lag is you're almost back to normal, which for you, I'm not sure what it is. But anyhow, tell us why you keep going.
A lot of it is, wow, it's loud. What we do is you start about 7:30 in the morning, you're with the kids till 11 o'clock at night when the lights go out. So you build a lot of relationships, a lot of friendships with staff, with the kids. So when the church goes every other year, it's just really hard not to go every year because I might not see those kids again after you leave. So it's just, you build a lot of relationships.
Okay, you've been over there for 4 years, 8 camps. There's a rumor going around that he's been there that more at those camps than some of the people that are living there, some of the missionaries. So we're going to check into that, but because they come back for furlough from time to time. But anyway, you were talking about the camp and the relationships there. What's it like for the kids at camp, or their life away from camp?
Away from camp, everything over there is really pushed hard on academics. So most of the kids most of their parents identify how well their kid is or how important their kid is by the grades they get in school. I equate it to like everybody here is doing whatever you can to make sure your kid gets into Harvard or Yale, and if they don't make it, they're not worth much. So their school day starts around, I'd say around 8 o'clock. Gets off about 4:30, they go home, they eat, and then most kids get sent to what's called Bushibon, which is to a tutor that they want them to excel. They need to work on a subject or they want to excel in a different subject. And that usually goes from 7 o'clock at night till 10 o'clock at night. And then they usually come home and do more homework from their day school, and then they start all over the next day.
Yeah, most of the time when we first started hearing about the Bushibon school, we would think, okay, that's where you're getting your tutoring for the classes because you need to catch up. No, like what Mike was saying, it's an extra, it's an additional. So most of the kids live on about 5 hours of sleep or less because, they'll have 3 or 4 hours of homework when they get home at 10 o'clock at night. So why do the kids go to camp? Why do you think they go?
Even for the kids that keep coming back, even if they're not Christians, they definitely know that something's different about the way the Christians interact with their kids, the way the Christians interact with them. They don't see that at their home. Joyce, who I've known now for 4 years, she just said this year that, my dad would never, has never, and never would have play a game with me. So for us to interact with them, it's just a way that they can see that there's something different because Christ lives inside of us. They can see that just by the way we act. We don't even have, it's not even necessarily telling them scriptures, which we do go through the Bible on every subject, whether it's English or, we'll bring it into sports or whatever it is. They just can see God because the way we act, the way we treat each other, and the way we treat them.
Well, you said something about that they can see God. What's their God over in Taiwan?
I looked this morning and they said they estimate there are 36,000 gods in Taiwan. They do, a lot of it is ancestor worship, Taoism, and also they actually have gods also. And sometimes even ancestors can turn into gods.
And I've been sharing this because I think of that it's a difficult concept for us to think about in not that kind of a setting. But a couple years ago, we went to a cultural center, and in this cultural center, which is a tourist attraction there in Taiwan, there was a temple there, and there were some different gods in there, and we walked through. You're welcome to kind of walk through and see what's going on. But while we were in there, people came in and prayed to these gods, and I was talking to somebody that was kind of overseeing the temple about why they would come in and pray there. Why would they take time out of their vacation day to do that? And they said, well, these are gods that they don't typically pray to. And they believe that there is something with that God that they may not be covered by on a regular basis. And so that God may have some power that they need. And so they'll pray for that God that will be there. And what's interesting is their prayers always start out the same. They always start off by saying who they are and where they live. Because they've got to tell their God of who they are. They've got to remind them who they are and that they have a home. And if you want to come visit, this is where I am. I'm down the street or whatever it is. So it is kind of, so when we talk about it being a God that knows our name, to us, that may not be a big, but to them, it's huge. It's countercultural for them. So what else you want to share about your trip or about going to Taiwan? Anything else?
I was going to say too, a lot of the pressure, like they'll say they get a lot of pressure from family, and a lot of times it's multi-generational that might live in a household. So in Taoism, they believe that you need to be taken care of in the afterlife. So in the afterlife, you still need food, you still need money, you might need a car. You say, how do you do a car? Well, what that does, a priest will come and say, Scott, your great-grandfather, he got a hold of me and he needs a car. So you need to give me this much money. They make it out of bamboo and then they'll burn it so you can have a car in the afterlife. They'll give money and they buy God money and they'll burn that so they can have money in the afterlife. Once a year, I think it's 30 days.
Yes.
Is Ghost Month. And during Ghost Month, what that is the priest, this is coming from them, the priests actually they do open the gates of hell to let out all the spirits that aren't taken care of during the year. If nobody's given them food, nobody's given them money. So they actually have 30 days where the priests pray to open up the gates of hell so the spirits can wander, and they put out food and money, and that goes on for 30 days.
And there's some odd things to us, but same time very real to them. And so a lot of there is a lot of fear. There's a lot of kind of in some ways intimidation of younger people to worship these gods and ancestries and to do that. So Mike, I thank you so much for putting up with me on these trips and for you and coming and sharing. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I don't know, at the same time, when we talk about the academic, there's a couple things that I just want, as we're wrapping up, as we talk about the academic pressure over there, I don't know if we completely grasp this, even me being over there a couple times and talking to some of the students. One of the things that happens, or is likely to happen, if I'm a student over there and I fail a test, there's a good chance that I'm going to get beat while I'm at school. Then what's going to happen when I get home, because I failed that test, I'm going to get beat again. And so there's a lot of fear that I can't fail. To further example that, one of my students a couple years ago when I was there, they take tests to find out what college they're going to go to, and it's all based on how well they perform on that test. This student got number 3, third place. And I was like, to me, I don't know how many hundreds of people took that test, but I said, good job, way to go, number 3, you got to be proud with that. And he's like, no, that's not good. And I was like, seriously, you're like number 3? I thought that would be good. No, I probably won't get to go to the school that I want to go to. And so for him, that means I probably won't get to do the career that I'd like to do. That means I don't know what my family will think of me. It's that kind of a pressure. We've talked about it throughout, just, that there will be gray hair on these students at times because of the stress of the academic. We talk about that camp, and this is just, to me, still phenomenal. Registration opens up at midnight. You can only register online. This year, they have about 240 spots or about 220 spots is what they try to keep it at, for the 2 weeks. It filled up in 8 minutes. They couldn't shut it down fast enough. They had 20 or 30 extra campers that they had to find places for. And it's crazy. And what's wild is the last time over there, I had a student in my group that he was asking me about the camp. Day 1, he's like, what do we do here? And I was like, what? He goes, I don't know. I said, what do you mean? He goes, do you know what sport I'm registered for? I heard this is a sports. And he goes, what am I doing? He had no idea his mom signed him up. He knew nothing about it. It wasn't him begging. He's like, tell me, really, what's this week going to be like? And I was kind of like, oh, I can't believe that. But anyway, so keep praying for that camp. Derek and Jen DeVries will be here in 6 to 8 weeks probably. And we're looking forward to seeing them in their new edition. I thank you so very much for allowing us to do this and come and sharing your attention and watching the videos and putting up with me, talking to different people. I really appreciate that. We are honored. I want to do this as closing. I know Carrie's going to come up and wrap things up, but I've got a question for you. I want to see a show of hands who can count to 10. Perfect. You guys are all qualified to help out with upward evaluations. There's a place right over there. We talk about it, that you've got to be able to count to 10. What it is the kids will come in, they'll shoot baskets for 30 seconds. You got to count the ones they make. And sometimes it's pretty difficult because sometimes they hit the rim and it's bouncing and then it's missing. Some of the kids, when they're going from 2nd to 3rd grade, they're up to a 10-foot goal, and it's a challenge for them. And I've counted up to 11, 12, 13 a couple times, in the last 10 years. So it's a blast. Come and join. And that doesn't commit you to being there for the next 8 to 10 weeks, during the season. That's a one-day, and it's a whole lot of fun of encouraging kids. So I thank you again so much.
I don't know if you're aware of it, but the last couple of nights have been ideal for looking for shooting stars. And so I was out looking for shooting stars last night and this morning. I'm just amazed at the handiwork of God. And I was reminded that Paul says in Philippians, when you hold out the word of life, you are like a star in the universe. And so whether we're counting baskets at an upward evaluation, whether we're buying gas and paying the cashier, whether we're going on a foreign missionary trip, whether it's at work, whether it's at school, whether it's on an athletic team, we can hold out the word of life to others and be a shining star in that arena. That's what being a missionary is all about.